Socialism is a system, a way of organising society, which would be geared towards satisfying the needs of the millions rather than the profits of the millionaires. Right? Some people, when they think of socialism, think about the idea of a revolution. But if you think about that word, I don't know what its Latin root is, but the idea of revolve. You've got a system at the moment where you've got a small minority of very wealthy people who own and control the banks, the insurance companies, the major industries. And then you've got the mass of ordinary people who work for them, work for a living, or would be, maybe on the welfare system, disability, or what have you, right? And if you revolve that, turn it on its head, right? So that control of the wealth in society is in the hands of the majority of ordinary working class people. And you say, we're going to use this not for nuclear weapons or armies or what have you. We're going to use this for better minimum wage, better health service, better education service, our priorities. That's the basic idea. The Socialist Party stands for that type of a change, not just in Ireland, but internationally. We are affiliated to a group called the CWI, that stands for Committee for Workers International, which is campaigning for roughly the same goals in 40 countries around the world, all the continents. That's the change that we want to see. We don't accept donations from big business. The reason is, the old saying, he who pays the piper calls the tune, and we're not going to dance to the tune of the business community or any individual businessman. Right? Our party is funded through our members, through their own donations, and from the campaigning work we do among ordinary working class people. And our public representatives have to live on the average wage of a worker. It's one thing to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk, and you cannot, campaign and talk about these issues with credibility unless you know what it's like to struggle to pay the mortgage, to make ends meet. Can I afford to have a holiday this year? People who live on Easy Street are not good reps for ordinary working class people. I think this generation of young people grew up during an economic boom, the Celtic Tiger, the richest years this country ever saw. And although the majority of young people weren't on Easy Street as a result of it, I think most people had jobs. There was a certain security there. I think that's set to change now. I think unemployment is going to come back on the agenda. I think job insecurity is going to come back on the agenda. And low pay, despite this minimum wage, has never gone away because the employers have made the minimum wage the maximum wage in many cases, with people being paid a few bob above $8.65 or whatever it is. And when you look at the cost of a flat, when you look at the cost of feeding yourself, and particularly when you look at the cost of trying to move forward and organise a house for yourself in the future, I think those are major issues. If you have a system where it's geared towards maximising profits for a small minority, and you have a government that acts as a front man for that small minority, they have to find someone in society to blame for the problems that exist in society. And they'll pick on minorities. They pick on people whose skin is a different colour, people who come from a different country, people who have a different sexual orientation. And young people as a group are often scapegoated as well. They turn on the TV, they watch the news, and what they see has no relevance to their lives, and bores the hell out of them. I mean, if politics is old guys in suits and ties talking mumbo jumbo and pretending to be on your side, but in reality you know that they represent the rich and powerful within society, promising change before every election and then betraying people's hopes afterwards and going back to the same old crap. Of course people are going to switch off that. I think things might be set to change a bit now in the next couple of years, because you can ignore politics, but politics won't ignore you. Right? And political issues like low pay, like unemployment, like racism and racial discrimination can come onto the agenda. And I think a lot of those issues will come onto the agenda in a sharper way now that we're heading for economic tough times. And I think that'll be a wake-up call to a lot of young people. and more people will start taking an interest in politics. But it'll be the real politics of campaigning for social change on issues that affect people's lives, rather than the usual nonsense which is the diet that is served up to people. I think the fortunes of the Socialist Party are intimately linked to the fortunes of the struggle of working class people. Right? I think that if we see a fight back by ordinary people on issues like the state of the health service, on issues like low pay, on issues like the growing inequality and gap between rich and the rest within society, then I think the Socialist Party, if it has its act together, can rise on that wave, can attract new members, new activists, and win a broader layer of support, including votes, which translates into councillors and TDs. Well, I became socialist a long time ago, right? I know I don't look it, but I'm actually going to be 45 this year, you know. And I've been a socialist since I was a teenager, you know. I got active in socialist politics in the late 70s, very start of the 1980s. I was a school student at the time. And there was a lot of different reasons. You had a very sharp rise in unemployment at the time, which made me think about what kind of a society are we living in. You had the coming to power of Margaret Thatcher in Britain at the time, who was a hate figure for young people, not just in Britain, but internationally, and made me think about the need for change. And also, a lot of the culture and music of the time was rebellious, anti-establishment, and overtly left-wing. Bands like The Jam, The Clash, and so on. And I was into that music. It reflected my views, but also helped push them on a bit. So I got involved in socialist politics at that stage, and certain experiences that I had, particularly assisting workers on picket lines, the likes of the miners' strike in the mid-1980s, memories like that don't leave you, and they help you to soldier on through not just the good times, but the leaner times as well. If people think that what you call the capitalist thing, right, is promoting a fair society with justice, then they should vote for the capitalist parties. Right? And if they want to be active in politics, they should get active with the pro-capitalist groups. Right? On the other hand, if people think that that's the system which is unfair, which is unjust, you know, you're not going to change things by mouthing off about it at the student bar. You're going to change things by linking up with people who think roughly along the same lines and organising for change. So those people, absolutely, I'd encourage them to get involved in socialist politics.